Earlier this year, my Instagram was growing like crazy. I started off 2023 with just around 35,000 Instagram followers, and by mid-March, my followers had skyrocketed to 65,000. By the end of June, I was creeping up into the high 90,000s, and I was getting so close to hitting that coveted 100,000 follower mark. And then it stopped. I stopped. I decided that I needed a break because I could feel myself getting dangerously close to burnout. And so I scaled back from posting 3 reels per week to posting just once a week on my Instagram. And I'll be honest with you, my growth pretty much entirely stopped. And I've come to terms with that. For now. So today on another coffee chat with Katie, I wanted to talk to you about my anti-growth strategy for Instagram that I'm currently embracing. I want to tell you why I'm doing it and what my plans are for eventually kickstarting my growth again and going back to the same pace I was at before. So let's get into it. Today I am drinking an iced matcha latte, which is appropriate because it's very hot out. My favorite way to prepare this is with some oat milk and some coconut cream on top. It's very tasty. Well, not strictly coffee, I feel like it counts. Let me know in the comments what you are drinking for this coffee chat or what you would be drinking. Okay, so first I think we need to talk about the strategy that was working for me so you can understand where I was coming from before I went into my intentional flop era, shall we say. So at the beginning of 2023, I kind of stumbled into an Instagram strategy that worked really well. I had previously thought that the way to grow with Reels was just banging out as many trendy Reels as possible, using the trending audios, lots of like aesthetic footage, doing like lip syncs and sound bites and that kind of thing, doing little dances where I'm pointing. Like that's really what I thought the key to Reels growth was. And I will say in like the 2020, 2021 kind of phase, I do think that was working, but I had kind of gotten into a rut with that and that style of content never fully felt like authentic to me. But then I had started to see more content on TikTok that to me really felt like mini YouTube videos, like talking head style videos where people weren't basing it on an audio or a trend. They were just like sharing information, teaching something, or telling a story. And I was really connecting with that kind of content over on TikTok. So I had this idea to make a short form vertical video about this storytelling concept with regards to how you can use it as a vlogger. I had explained it in a YouTube video of mine and I was like, you know what, I could make like a short video about this. So just kind of on a whim, I filmed this vertical video. I added a bunch of like graphics and like text to it to try to make it engaging, and I decided to just try posting it on TikTok. It totally blew up for me on TikTok, and so I was like, maybe I could try posting this style of content on Reels as well. And so that's basically how I discovered the growth strategy that I had been using for the past several months. The idea is you can balance out both original content and trendy content to really have a great mix of getting new audiences to discover you and also nurturing that relationship with your existing followers. Pretty much I started treating Instagram Reels like it was YouTube, but with much faster paced edits and obviously vertical. So once I saw that this was really working for me, like seriously some videos over 100,000 views and like the majority of my Reels getting more views than my YouTube videos do here, I was like, I'm gonna really lean into this. So I started posting 3 of those per week, and obviously it worked quite well for me. So yeah, eventually I landed on this framework of kind of doing a balance between trendy Reels that are like those 7-second, quick, lots of visuals, lots of text reliant on a trending audio, and my original Reels, which were basically mini YouTube videos, kind of talking head style videos where I would do a tutorial or teach a concept or share some advice. Now I will say my strategy leaned much more heavily into the original Reels, but I did have a few trendy ones really pop off and that helped me grow. The point is I had found something that was working and I was kind of getting a little bit addicted to it because I knew, oh my gosh, if I post all these Reels, every time I refresh my profile, like I'm gonna have more followers, and it was like giving me this huge dopamine rush, which I think transitions quite nicely to the next point about why I stopped. So let's break this down because obviously you're probably thinking, Katie, you cracked the code, you figured out how to completely blow up your Instagram, like why on earth would you stop doing that? Honestly, I was starting to feel like I was on the verge of burnout, and that is a huge red flag to me because I've been through serious burnout before and it led me to being like pretty unproductive for like a good, you know, 4 to 5 months where I just kind of felt depressed and like not like working, and I was like, I can't let this happen to me again. And just with the summer coming up, I kind of just felt like I want to be able to scale things back a little bit. Like it's really hard for me to kind of take days off here and there and still keep up my regular production schedule. I would love to know from other content creators like how they're able to take breaks or give themselves vacation without doubling their workload before they leave. Because that's kind of my issue. If I wanted to take a week off for vacation, I would have to like do double the amount of reels the week before so I could schedule them ahead. And I think above and beyond just trying to take breaks here and there, I realized that I was kind of getting in this cycle of creating for the sake of getting that feedback of like more views and more likes and more followers, obviously. Because when I really tried to like investigate it within myself, I was like, why am I making all these reels? Because I'm doing this all for free. It's not like I'm actually even like promoting my digital products or making affiliate sales or doing a lot of brand deals. I mean, I do branded reels every so often, but the vast majority I was just cranking out mostly for the sake of gaining more followers. That's really what I realized. I was doing this because I was getting that huge dopamine hit of seeing more followers come in. So all of this was kind of swirling in my mind where I realized like I'm starting to feel burnt out. I'm really pushing myself to create just for the sake of seeing that follower count go up. And for what? Like there wasn't really a larger goal or purpose behind all of it. It was just a cycle that I kind of got caught up in because I liked the idea of having a higher follower count next to my name, and I realized that was totally not worth getting burnt out over. So with all of this in my mind, I thought, you know what? I'm allowed to do less. Between my weekly podcast episodes, my weekly YouTube uploads, 3 reels a week, posting daily on stories, and all the other like admin and logistics and behind the scenes work that I have to do to make it all happen, I was like, this is probably enough. Like, I can slow down, like it's allowed. I think sometimes as creators or entrepreneurs, it can be so easy to get stuck in hustle mode to the point where like you achieve some of your biggest goals and you're so happy, like you're living your dream life theoretically, but you're still just pushing yourself to do more because you kind of got in the habit of doing that. And I just had this realization that I'm like, I want to be able to just enjoy it for a little bit. Like, why do I keep pushing myself for these arbitrary like numbers to go up when I could just chill like a little bit more? So that brings us to my current anti-growth strategy on Instagram, and I kind of just called it that for the sake of having a flashy title because I don't think it's really anti-growth. I'm not losing followers. I'm very slowly and steadily gaining followers, but it's not nearly the viral growth that I saw before. And I'm really trying to commit myself to this because I know it can be so easy for me to think, well, what if I just did a little bit more? And what if I just tried posting this? And like that is going to get me on the same path that I was before. So I'm kind of trying to hold myself back and say, no, Katie, just post 1 reel. Like, it's okay. And the reality is, like, I'm not seeing as good of results as I was. In fact, my results are quite lackluster compared to what I was seeing before. Like going into the beginning of July, I was, you know, around like 95,000 followers, like 95, probably 0.8 or something like that. And now I'm at like 96.7 or something. So like it's very much slowed down. And there is a part of me that's like, oh, come on, let's just push past the 100. Like, let's just get to 100K. But I know that is such a mind game, right? Like hitting 100K is not going to make me feel any more satisfied. So I'm trying to use this as an exercise to really just sit in the like quote unquote bad numbers, like the sort of lackluster results, and try to be okay with that. Because I think sometimes I get like uncomfortable with seeing lack of movement or lack of progress, and that's what pushes me to work more, and that's what pushes me to burnout. So I'm trying to use this as like a mindfulness exercise of saying, it's okay to see that number not change and not really go up. I'm gonna just live with that, and I'm not gonna stress myself out about it. It's very difficult, but I'm trying to kind of put myself through that because I realize it's very much not healthy to just be in this constant cycle of like, oh, well, I can get a few more followers. Oh, well, what if I just work a little bit harder and then I could grow more? It's not good. Another kind of random aspect to this is I was kind of switching this strategy right around the beginning of July, which is when Threads was released. And I really do feel like the vibe around Threads has kind of calmed down in the weeks after it's released. But in that first initial week, it was crazy how much everybody was just on Threads and not on Instagram. So like the reels that I posted in my first like early transition to just posting once a week totally tanked because everybody was on Threads. So then that just kind of like discouraged me more a little bit. But I think things are starting to come back to normal and I'm starting to see more like typical results with my videos now. Okay, so obviously this is all part of my grand scheme of trying to avoid burnout, trying to be a little bit more mindful and intentional and not get caught up in chasing followers. And I think one really great way, obviously, to avoid that burnout and that temptation to like just work more is by scaling back, limiting yourself, saying, okay, I'm only gonna post 1 reel a week and I'm gonna be okay with the fact that I'm growing slower. But I think another great effective strategy for avoiding burnout is to work smarter, not harder. So do the same stuff you're doing, but with a little bit more ease and a little bit more efficiency. And a big part of that is finding the tools and resources that can help you do that. One such tool that I would highly recommend and that I have been using for years is Storyblocks, who's the sponsor of today's video. If you watch my channel, you're probably familiar with them by now, but Storyblocks is an online stock media library where you can gain access to all kinds of stock footage, animation templates, background music, sound effects, all for one subscription. Unlike other stock footage sites where you have to pay per clip or pay per media item, where it can really add up, with Storyblocks you have one membership that gains you access to all of these assets. So you can get everything you need without blowing the budget. I love using stock footage from Storyblocks to improve my travel vlogs. You can always find great aerial footage or time lapses of like a city that you traveled to. But I also love using it to add some visual texture, add a little bit of spice to my main channel videos. I like to use this paper texture in my titles or this film flicker texture. Like, there's so many great options for just making your videos feel more alive. You can also use Storyblocks assets to make your reels more engaging. So instead of spending a bunch of time filming all this extra b-roll for your reels, you can get the b-roll you need from Storyblocks. You can get animations that you need, and it just makes your life as a creator so much easier. So if you want to try out Storyblocks for yourself, go to storyblocks.com/Katie, or you can click the link in the description. I personally find it invaluable to my content creation process, so I think you will too. So that's where we've come from. That's where we are now. From highly productive to feeling burnt out to taking things slower. Where are we going next? Well, my friends, I am cooking up a serious strategy shift for the fall that I'm getting more excited about. I think honestly taking breaks as a creator can be one of the best ways to have a bit of a reset and then build up your energy for a shift. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I'm starting to plan kind of coming back and better than ever on my Instagram in the fall, and taking this intentional time off is what's allowing me to do that. Because if you get yourself burnt out, you're not going to be able to do that. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I think I want to go back to posting 3 reels a week because I was able to maintain that for a while. Like, that did feel good for me for a time, and I think if I come in with a strategy and a plan where I like come up with my topics ahead of time, it'll feel even more accessible to do that. But in addition to those 3 reels, I want to incorporate carousels again, because honestly that's something I've really neglected over the past like 6 months or so, and I actually think that carousels can perform quite well on Instagram. Like, I think people are looking for like a breakup of all the video content to see a little bit of photos here and there. So I'm thinking I might try a balance of like 2 carousels per week, one of them kind of more educational advice, like tips based, and one of them a little bit more personal, showing like, oh, here's what I've been up to the past week, or a little bit more reflective. Because I think with all my Instagram content, it's always a balance between like sharing tips, advice, and education, but also sharing my own experience. And I also really want to commit to doing daily stories, Monday to Friday, trying to space them out throughout the day. I'd really like to see my Instagram story views increase, but I'm also trying to let go of that a little bit, because honestly I sometimes think I use my Instagram story views just as like a way to determine my mood for the day. I know that sounds like so crazy, but I'm so like used to seeing metrics, and I'm wanting like a way to measure my recent performance, and Instagram story views is the most up-to-date number I can get. So I'm like always checking that to see like, oh, how successful am I today? So I should also probably add to my goals list, stop looking at the story views so much. Okay, so that is the strategy that I really have in mind for after my summer break. It's gonna be Monday through Friday daily posts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday reels, Tuesday, Thursday carousels, and daily stories. And I'm really excited to kind of start that again, and I think that's a good feeling, because a little while ago before I started this break, I was like, dude, I want to stop posting on Instagram altogether. I'm so sick of it. But by intentionally like forcing myself to take this break, I'm actually starting to feel more excited about creating, and I think that's really what you want. So overall, I really think taking this intentional time to slow down and force myself to do less output is really giving me the opportunity to find that inspiration and find that energy for doing even more. I kind of like to think about it like you're a little plant, and in order for a plant to grow, you need to put that seed in the cozy warm soil where it can just like chill for a little bit and absorb all the nutrients, absorb the water, and eventually you can start growing and reaching for the sun. But you need to have that period of restfulness and just taking in before you can do all that output. So I think as a creator, it's important to take really intentional seasons of just resting, bringing in that input, drawing in that energy so that you have the energy you need to do the output later. Okay, so hey, look, if you've watched to this point in the video, you gotta know you are a real one. We are basically besties. I really appreciate you coming for this coffee chat. Make sure you drop a hey in the comments and maybe let me know what your current relationship with social media is looking like. Do you feel like you really need a break? Are you feeling super productive and energized these days? Or are you feeling like maybe even too intimidated to really start? Let me know where you're at so we can chat about it. If you liked this video, then you will definitely like this one where I talked about the biggest mistake that I've ever made on YouTube. It's another coffee chat video, and let me know if you like the vibe because I can make more like this. I think they're fun. So if I can leave you with any message, it's take a break if you need to, my friend. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having adventures and following your dreams, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!